There we go. Now we know. Okay, so here we are, ready for sock camp. As I said, sometimes you go on horseback rides. Some next week will be canoeing. So we are ready and set for our camp. And obviously, you're all pretty dang excited because we've got over 30 people
Oh,
on
wow.
tonight for sock camp. Well, who has good memories of going to sock camp? Going to camp, right? I do. I was a camp counselor and it was my favorite job I had ever, ever, ever. Loved it, loved it, loved it. So I'm going to be your camp counselor along with other folks for our sock camp. So as much as I'd like to keep my sunglasses on, it makes it a little hard to see you. So I'm going to go back to my other glasses and I'll put my hat back and let's just talk about what we're going to be doing. And so many people coming on. How exciting. This is super, super exciting. We haven't had kind of this large of a group for a while. So when we have this large of a group, it's important for you to be good listeners and to mute. It's always a good opportunity for us to use our hand. So we can, campers, raise our hands. If you look on your in your Zoom, you can high five, you can do it, it says reactions. And so you can raise your hand if you have a question. The other thing that really is helpful is if you do it in the chat, if you just type a question in the chat and we'll kind of be watching that and watching that to be able to answer your questions. And I promise you, we will get to all of your questions, but we have so much to do tonight as we get ready. This is our first sock camp. I know there's lots of sock camps out there that you can participate in. So I'm thrilled that you want to be part of ours. It's kind of our first year. We've already got plans for, we've named the colorways for next year. We're going to have a t-shirt. We've got all kinds of fun things that are going to be happening. So thank you for always being willing to go along on the ride and to be part of the fun of what we do here at Knit Paper Scissors. So sock camp, we're going to be looking at a variety of things. What it is not, it's not really a beginning sock class. So you do need to have a little bit of experience and kind of know how to knit a sock. And we're not really going to be teaching logistics that way. And in fact, you can go to my YouTube channel and I did some rearranging on there and you can look at all of our tutorials for fish lips heel and beginning socks and all of those things. So it's really not that. What it is tips and techniques and challenges to try some new things for us to be doing. And I think what you're all most really excited about is your sock sprint. I said to folks today at the shop, I said, are you in? Are you in for all 3 weeks? And they're like, heck yes, I'm in for all 3 weeks. So this is how it works. When we're done and talking about and showing, then if you're in for the sock sprint, I just need to see your yarn and get your name recorded and have you down. And then Kay's going to blow our whistle. Kay's going to be our official starter tonight. And she'll blow the whistle and we'll be off and sock knitting. And you know what's fabulous is it's warm out. And so nothing better to knit than socks when it's warm and hot, because there's just not a lot to hold there. So you have your sprint. And then at the end, I'm going to show you the prizes that you can earn in our sock sprint. This is the dealio. So, you know, if you're going to sprint with us, you got to use our yarn. So you got to use Lazy Bee or something you purchased at Knit Paper Scissors. It's only fair. I'm buying the prizes and you buy yarn, I buy prizes, and I can give it back to you. Fair? Fair. Okay. All right. You all get that. As far as the pattern, you can do whichever pattern you want. You know, if you want anklets, knit anklets. If you want to do shorties, knit shorties. That's okay, but you got to do two. So you got to do a pair. You got to complete your pair from now until next week when we Zoom. So next week when we Zoom, you're going to hold them up and you're going to say, here's my socks that are done. And, you know, we could say, well, we ought to all knit the same pattern, but that's not really fun. I've always believed that people should do what they're enthused and excited about. So, and we'll look at a few patterns tonight too, if you need help with any patterns with that. We will then also have, Jessica will, now I've got a good number on count. And so Jessica is also going to be dyeing a very special colorway just for those of you that participate in sock camp. And that will be at the end of the month. So you don't need to worry. There's nothing, no new one that you need to use. You can use whatever Lazy Bee or whatever yarn you might have, whatever yarn. If you'll all mute, that would be great because we're getting some TV in the back. Whatever you have at home is going to work great. Valerie brought up a great point today because I know some of you are, oh, you're knitting your 24 pair of socks for the year. And heck, you can start right now if you haven't been in it. I said you can do it in December. You want to knit 24 socks in December? Knock yourself out. It could be done one a day. You couldn't probably do anything else, but we're doing a little 24 socks in the year. And she said, well, wouldn't my shorties count? Technically, they don't count, but we're going to let them count for sock camp. So 2 shorties count as 1 sock, 1 pair. Sound good? Sound fair? Yeah, 1 sock. So two shorties count as a sock. So if you do 2 shorties, you can count it as another sock. Fair? Sounds good. Okay, and that doesn't apply to all of you, but some of you are participating in that. So do you have any questions? You can raise your hand or you can write your question in the chat. Any questions about logistics or anything like that? Okay. All right, I think, Susan?
If for some reason we can't make a Zoom class, can we email the finished socks to you?
Yes, you can. You could text us at the shop or send us an email. And you can do the same with your start. So next week, you can show us at the shop. You can send us a picture, say, this is what I'm going to do this week. And, you know, we trust you to start. We trust you to start in a fair time. So it doesn't mean you start this week's for next week's. You all are adults and you can all play by the game, play the right game. And we're at camp. So I won't make you sing the way up in the sky, the little bird flies song, but we might, you know. So yes, you can send us your picture and or text it to the shop. The shop is a cell phone. And so you can send us a picture, just put your name. So a lot of folks send us things that we're like, we don't know who you are. So it's always very helpful for you to say, hey, this is Angie and I'm sending you my socks. Okay. All right. Nope. Children's socks don't count. It is adult socks that, or we'd all knit a little baby sock. So nope. Adult socks are what we're going to do. So are you ready? All right. We're going to talk a little bit about 2 at a time. So Mary, I see Mary's on. Mary and I, we attempted 2 at a time toe up a long time ago, didn't we, Mary? And you and I sat there and it was, we plowed through it though. And I know many of you like to knit socks 2 at a time. I'm going to tell you that I spent an hour and a half, if not more, casting on, getting my socks organized, filming for tonight, and doing all of those things. Oh gosh, I'm gonna have to go get my phone. Filming all of those things. And I thought I could have knit almost half of a sock in all the time that I was getting all of this ready. And not to discourage you, I told Valerie today at the shop, I'm plowing through and I'm going forward, and I learned a lot of things that I think will help make sense. So I'm gonna go get my phone. Kay, have you done socks two at a time? You have, haven't you? You want to give your, I know obviously that you get them both done, but you want to give them a little bit of background on two at a time?
You know, I have done two at a time, and I have done them toe up. I've also done them cuff down. And sometimes with two at a time, depending on what I'm doing for the heel, I may have to switch them to a different needle when I'm doing that. But generally, no, I can just keep going on and doing my heel and on down to my toe. I really like doing two at a time. And even if I'm using little 9-inch circulars, I do two circulars going. Simply because I'm the type that I have done before, where I've done one sock and the other one just kind of lingers, and it's like, oh, do I really want to do it? Where this way, if I either do it two at a time, no matter what technique I use, they're going to be done, and when I'm done, I've got a pair. It's not one and then starting another. So it really just depends on your own knitting habits and your own knitting style for what works for you.
Okay, thank you, Kay. Thank you, thank you. So I'm going to show you how to cast on and get ready for two at a time. And we're going to show you what we've done is we shoot our videos and then we show them to you. And these will then be on our YouTube channel. So you'll be able to go back and watch them. Haven't we gotten so smart about all this? You'll be able to go back and watch them so that you can do it. So for a shorty, I like to cast on over not a shorty, but a regular sock. I like to cast on over 2 needles so that I can get it up and pull it on. And, you know, a shorty is not as critical that you're cast on because you don't have to get it all the way up your calf. But I did use the German twisted cast on, and some of you are familiar with that, but we're going to take a look at that. I'm going to go to screen share, and when I go to screen share, it fades for a bit, so don't panic. We will be with you, but it has to connect. And we'll watch this. Okay, coming your way shortly. Maybe. Okay, try it one more time. Kind of like it has to get lined up. All right, here we go. Voice time, and so therefore I'm not going to use 2 needles, which I typically like to cast on over. So I'm going to show you how to do a German twisted cast on. It's very similar to the long tail, provides it a little more stretch, and I actually like how it gives a really nice little edge. And with shorty socks, you don't need as much stretch because it's not coming up over your leg. So you'll get in position like you would for a long tail cast on. I hold the 2 yarns down here with my 3 fingers. I've got my Y slingshot, and then I'm going to lower it down to where I've got a heart. And typically with a long tail cast on, you would go in here, grab the yarn and bring it right back out. But with a German twisted cast on, you go all the way under that loop and you kind of back in the back door in there. And then you go over, it's putting a twist on it, grab that yarn that you would typically bring back through, but it's got to come through this little hole down here. So what I like to do is drop my thumb
And that makes it really easy to get that through. Okay, let's see it again. So here we are, we go all the way under our loop. We back in the back door, come through and over, go grab our tail, and then I twist my thumb down to open that up. I've seen folks just bring it through that really little loop there, and that works nice as well. So here we go again, all the way, come back, come over, twist down, and that opens up the loop for you to come get it. And it just gives a nice stretchy bind on.
Bind on. Okay, so there's lots of tutorials on the German twisted cast on. You know, I really like to use it. I use it just as a cast on because it really gives a really nice little edge along there, and it's not super stretchy. Some cast ons that you can do can get flary, kind of ruffly, and so you have to be careful about that. And this one I like a lot. All right, so that's what I did. I did the German twisted cast on, and now we're going to take a look at what you need to do if you're going to cast on for both of your socks onto one needle. And this
video again is part of our summer sock camp, and I'm going to give you some tips for casting on socks to knit 2 at a time on a magic loop. I'm going to be making the little boxes socks by Summerly Design, and you can see that there's a different cuff, heel, and toe. There's a different yarn that runs through along with the base variegated. I'm going to be using our June Knit Lincoln, and the blue will be my cuff, heel, and toe, and the red will run through it. When you're knitting 2 socks at a time, you have to divide everything in half. So that's why a scale is valuable and important. I'm going to do it on a 40-inch cord, and you will cast on your first, I do 64, so your first 32 stitches first. And then you'll cast on your second sock, which will be 64 here, and we'll divide for magic loop. One thing that's important that's not often shared on other tutorials is to make sure to have a long enough tail to continue casting on the other 32 stitches. So when I first did this, I just cast on and then I had a little tail. Well, that doesn't work, okay? So once you cast on those first 32, then you're going to slide them down. The other thing that's important is I did a German twisted cast on. Typically, I like to cast on over 2 needles for my socks so that it's loose enough to pull up over my calf. These are shorties. I don't have to worry about that as much, but I do still want to use a little stretchier cast on. And you can see that this has got some nice give to it. It also gives a really kind of nice edge. So I'm going to slide those down, and then I'm going to come up to my 64 stitches here, and we would separate them just as we would for magic loop. $32, you pinch it, and then we're going to pinch that cord and bring that loop up and through, and then pull out. Now you want to be careful that you don't pull off your other stitches. Okay, and when you're doing 2 at a time, you're going to have lots of yarns and lots of fiddles. So here I've established my sock, and this is my front and back of one sock. And we do want to be conscious of twisting and making sure that stitches are good and ready to go, but we can't really do that because we don't join to work in the round, typically how we would do that. But we will, when we get ready to knit, make sure our first round, make sure that we're set. So then we're going to come over. Here is our first 32 stitches for one side. And here's your cast on. The yarns that are left and it's still attached. So you're going to grab, don't worry about those other stitches. You're going to grab your needle and you're going to grab the tail and the working yarn that you have left from your 32 stitches. And you're going to get in position to do your German twisted cast on. And what you're going to do, you're just going to let it hang in your hands and you'll go in for your first stitch. And of course you want to make sure that that is super snug and tight up to those original 32 stitches. And then you just go ahead and cast your 32 stitches on as you would. Don't worry about what's happening with the needle. Don't worry about what's happening with the other stitches. Just get your 32 stitches cast on here. And then you'll be ready to work your yarn, work your sock.
Okay, so in essence, you're casting on the first 32 and it's your number. And actually I cast some more because this sock needed more. You cast on the first one, then you cast on the middle, and then you finish with the cast on. The important thing is having enough tail. I did it twice and I didn't have enough tail. So make sure you've got enough tail to finish those 32. We're just so always thinking, you know, differently that we don't think that. So now we've cast it on, we've got everything ready. Let's talk about how we get started. How we get started with knitting.
All right, part of Summer Sock Camp tutorial, 2 at a time on a magic loop. We've got everything cast on. I've got one sock here, fronts and backs. I love these little clips. It just really helps keep things organized. So we are ready. We've got our working yarn, we've got our tail, and we're not joined to work in the round, which is, I'm going to take these off, which is something we often do when we're just knitting the one sock. So what's important is that you rotate things around so that your working yarn is in the back of the needle, and you'll want to take a moment and make sure that everything, especially here in the corner, sorry, I've got such dark yarn. It's designed for my socks, but to make sure that they're not twisted there, make sure all of the cast on are down. I'm going to take my working yarn, I'm going to put it up and over that back needle, just as I would, and then I'm going to pull this out. And your first pull with your magic loop is going to be a little tricky. And then I'm going to do my knit 2, purl 2, and I'm just going to join by starting to knit. So it's really super important that you get this first 2 stitches pulled down, knit 2, tight like that, and then I'll purl 2, and I'll knit across this first needle. And as all projects, the first row is super fiddly fussy. So there's 2 knits, 2 purls, and you'll knit across, and then I'll show you what to do with the second sock.
All right, we'll watch one more and this will be our final sock.
All right, I just completed the front side of this first sock. Just going to leave the yarn back over here. I'm going to slide this front needle off and get ready to work the second. And this is kind of a join. And so this is the challenging part, to really be careful to look, make sure everything, your cast on bumps are down. And again, we just simply pull tightly. And this is just going to feel kind of kind of loose for those of us that are used to joining in the round by trading stitches. So we'll knit the first, yarn's coming off the back. You see how it's kind of gappy there. Really got to tighten that down, keep holding it, and then knit the second stitch and keep holding it to keep it down. And then we'll do our 2 purls and we're off and going. So then you would proceed across these first stitches. And by the way, I did cast on the extra stitches. I know I said 64, but the pattern calls for 76. So I'm doing what the pattern calls for because of the stranded knitting that really occurs in the project. Makes for a tighter sock. And you'll knit across and then you'll make the turn, work with this yarn, knit across the back, work with this yarn, and you'll be going.
Okay. You know, on that the first one, you could trade the stitches like we might be familiar with doing if you wanted to, but that second sock, you can't do it because it's on the cord. So some people never trade places to start there in the round. They just do exactly what I did there. They just pull it up tight and go after it. Okay. So what questions do you have about what I just showed you? You can chat it, you write it in the chat and or raise your hand, wave at me, and then we can answer your questions. And it's just questions. We don't necessarily need your tips. Susan?
Well, I had a tip.
Okay.
When I do 2 at a time, that first 64 that I do, I put a stitch marker at the halfway point, then I can just pull the cord through.
Sure, great idea. Thanks. Okay. Any other questions or clarifications with, you guys are all going to get, who's going to try 2 at a time? Anybody going to try them? Some of you. Okay, good. All right. Some of you are just here to look and learn, right? Also on that little pattern, I used to do a 1-by-1 rib. I didn't read my pattern. I don't know who tells you to read their patterns, but I didn't read the pattern. And then by the time I'd done the 2-by-2 rib, I was like, oh, well, it'll be a 2-by-2 rib. Okay. So that's all right too. All right, let's see. We got another question. Could you cast on an extra stitch and knit 2 together to join? You absolutely can. That's another great way. You know, it kind of depends on what you're comfortable with and how you like to join. I feel like mine look really good just by pulling them tight. And you have your little tail there that you can always clean things up if you want to as well. Okay, other questions? Well, I teased you a bit with the bag, and I'm going to show you. I had a customer years ago when I was at the house, and she was knitting socks 2 at a time, and she was using a bag, and I loved her little tips and technique, or how she did it. And I thought, I saw our knit paper scissors bag here, and I thought that little bag will work fabulous. And so we're going to go back to screen share, and this is a live. I don't have a video of this. So we're going to go back to screen share. Then we'll go to our camera. And I've got, here we go, live and in person. Here's Cindy's sock. This is a sock that I'm doing. I really don't think I should have picked this one for my 2 at a time, because not only will I have I'll have 2 yarns for each sock. So I'll have four yarns going. Okay. And we'll talk patterns here in a minute. But here is our little beginning knitting. Many of you have this, and if you don't, we have a way that you're going to be able to get it. And it's got a little pocket in here. So it's just perfect for keeping your yarn, especially your little beginners. Here I have my little clips. You know how much we love these clips. And especially if you're just at this point where you're beginning, clip those together. And again, always clip at the end. The other thing that's really important when you're knitting 2 at a time is that you have the beginning of it all marker. So you know, we would have two markers, a beginning of round here and a beginning of round here. But it's really important that you have a beginning of the whole thing here, because you kind of get to going and you're like, where am I at? So I always like to have one that is the beginning here. And just like in Magic Loop, we throw that yarn up and over the back to get it out of the way. If we wrap it, then we're going to end up with some extra stitches. So it's always up and over the back. And then I'm just going to show you a little bit. I'm going to pull. So I like to hold both of them together like this. Because if you don't, then it gets down like this. I really believe that you could do two at a time, possibly on 24, for sure on 32, not 24 Magic Loop, but 24, 2 needles, one in the front, one in the back, 32, one in the front, one in the back. Because with the 40, you've got a lot of cord here that you're working with. The other thing is, if your needle is new, takes a bit for these cords to kind of get broken in. But in any event, I like to hold. So I'm going to hold both of them together like that. And then I'm going to pull that needle out. My yarn is up and over. And so you're going to watch. Sorry to bore you a little bit, but I want to show you then. Well, let's talk about where our yarns are. So this knit paper scissors bag, and some of you have other bags that have maybe yarn grommets that can pull through, but this has a little snap that then in essence keeps your compartments separate. And if I were Kay would have in here a Ziploc bag with her yarn in there, which is a great idea as well. So when I was doing this, I looked to the side of this and I went, oh my gosh, why not put my little yarn in there? It's like a little yarn bowl, a mesh yarn bowl. So this sock, this yarn is in this side. And we would go across. And once you do this, you'll know how to turn it, but you'll knit across. The important thing with the Magic Loop, and again, you've got your loop here, you've got your loop here that grows on each side, is that you drop the yarn once you're done with it. So there have been times, I have done a couple pair of socks this way. I'm back for more. Because you never know, this might be my go-to from this point forward. I have knit on with this yarn. Well, then you got to tink that all back. So, hang on. We're going to go across and I'll show you how we drop it. I don't even know what I'm doing here. This yarn's so dark, but I had to have blue. So it looked good, right? This calls for a little 1/2 inch cuff, and that's what I'm going to do. This will be my last round with this. And then I do switch to a larger needle for those socks because of the stranded knitting. Okay, so I have finished those. We're just going to say 32. So you just drop, and then you're going to push these up. This is where it gets a little bit fiddly because you don't want to lose. You'll pull. And then you got to go find that yarn. Sorry, try to keep me in picture. You got to go find that yarn. It's waiting for you. Now this skein is over here. So it's staying completely separate. And you'll knit across these stitches. So obviously this won't be on, this will be in the class, this portion of the tutorial. It's not filmed separately. Coming across. And then you're going, I really don't want to have to come back and redo this, so I'm going to check that I'm doing it right. Okay, let's go. Sorry for the downtime, but gotta learn. Learn in camp. Okay, here we go. Coming upon the end. Now, typically what I would do is I would take the skeins, so I'm going to drop that. So now I have worked across this part, the front of this sock, and we'll just say for our purposes, the front and the front of our sock. So now we would just do our flip, wouldn't we? We do our handoff and we turn that around. Well, if you get to doing that, do you see what's going to happen with your yarns? So in another time, I might have taken the skeins and passed them over. But if you simply turn the bag and bring everything to the front, isn't that fun? Voila, we're ready to go again. I think this is going to really make the difference for my red, because I'll be using this yarn and I'll be using the red. So I'm going to put the big skein in the inside of the bag and the little red skein on the outside of the bag. And now I would knit across with this, knit across with that, and then you're not going to keep turning it this way. You'll simply turn it back this way and bring the yarn to the front. So I think as far as yarn management, this will be just a terrific little tool. You don't have to have that bag. You can, any bag that kind of stands upright like that would be great for you. I'll show you these other socks while I've got them. These are the jelly roll socks, and the jelly rolls are where you knit 1.5 inch and then the next inch, and then you'd simply knit them together, and then you insert your fish lips kiss heel. You can do whatever heel you want to. If you're interested in the fish lips kiss heel, you might say, well, how do I do that on my magic loop? So when you're ready, that first sock, let's say I were ready for my heel here. What I would do is, you could put this on another needle if you wanted to. You can just slide this down and you'll work on this needle, purling and knitting and purling and knitting and purling back and forth on this needle. You'll work the whole heel, then you'll come over, you'll let that sit there and wait, and you'll come over and do this heel. And that would be typical for all when you do socks 2 at a time. Even if you're doing a heel flap or an afterthought heel, you know, an afterthought heel would work really nicely with 2 at a time, because you could knit the whole sock, come back and just do the afterthought heel singly. But you do have to, unless you want to go through the trouble of taking them all off and putting them on another needle. So you're going to have to experiment with that to kind of determine how you want to do that. I'm just about 7 rows from doing my heel, so I'll keep you posted. All right. Questions? Thoughts? Are you excited? All right. So who's in for the sprint? We're gonna let you take your. Well, I'll just call your name off, and you can take yourself. Cindy, we'll start with you. Karen, you'll be next. Karen Rowe, Diana Feather, and then Carla. Show us your yarn. Show us what you're doing, and you might share a pattern. And then when we to finish up, we'll give a look at a few patterns that might be a possibility. So Cindy, show us your yarn.
Okay, there it is. It's out here in sunny Colorado, 70 degrees, beautiful weather. I'm going to do a Summer Lee, another pattern of hers that Angie's doing. I finished a pop radio sock. This one is a self-striping yarn, and then you put the little cream colored fleck in the middle of your stripe.
Fine.
That's what I'm doing. I'm ready to go.
All right, you're in. Got you down. Looks great. Karen.
I'm skipping until the week of the 21st because I can't do this when I'm working full time.
No problem.
but I
That's
have that week off.
completely understandable and your choice. So we're glad you're on tonight, getting all prepped up. Good job. All right, Diana and then Carla and then Maggie, you'll be next.
I am using this yarn. I'm going to try 2 at a time. I'm trusting you, Angie. Trusting ya.
Okay,
And
Diana.
I'm going easy. I'm doing the No Fear Shorty socks.
Okay. No Fear Shorty Socks. Very good.
Okay,
That's.
yeah.
Okay, I tell you
That's
what.
Earth Tone Girls.
Earth Tone Girls. I started a Ravelry thread. It would be most helpful if you have a moment to pop on there and tell us what your pattern is that you're doing. And then that way we won't have to go, what was that? Write it down, okay? So if you have a moment, run on there when we're done and say, I'm Diana and I'm doing the No Fear Earth Girl sock. Okay, Carla, Maggie, and then Nancy Schmidt, you'll be next. Carla?
Okay, I'm just using up what I had for my other socks that I started with. Gonna just do plain vanilla knitting, quick as I can get them done.
Absolutely. Sounds good. All right.
Okay.
Looks good. All right, Maggie.
I am using this yarn
Yes.
and
beautiful.
I'm gonna try the How I Roll socks.
Oh, looks neat.
So we'll see how it goes.
Okay, fabulous. All right, Nancy and then Sherry Walker and then Ann.
I am going to use this.
Uh-huh. Oh, that's the snow pile, right?
Yeah, I think that's what it's called.
Mhm.
And then I have a pattern that I found and it's called You Are So Bountiful.
Ah, okay.
It's got a little pattern to it.
Oh, pretty. It's got a little and very neat little cable down of it.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
these things we see, there are so many sock patterns. So cool.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
I found another one too, but I can't decide. This one's called Simple DK Shorty Socks. This one looked interesting as well.
Okay, fabulous. Very good. Well, watch the gauge on that because that's a DK.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Sherry and Ann and then Mary Teeters.
I am using the yarn that was demonstrated in the video.
Oh, great, Sherry.
I'm kind of a newbie, so I'm going to mostly be concentrating on trying to do magic loop. So I'm either going to try the Barrett sock pattern
Uh-huh.
and just make it a shorty, or I may just do vanilla look, plain
Sure.
vanilla,
Sure,
to-
Sherry.
just to only learn one thing at a time.
Right. Sherry was in today. So welcome. Glad you're here. And what a
Thank you.
great, she's just jumping right into camp. She's like my little 8-year-olds that came to camp and cried when their mom left. So we're not going to have tears in our camp. Ann, how about you?
Oh, I'm using this yarn. It's a pink,
Ooh, that's pretty.
and this will be and I'm going to do the jelly rolls.
The jelly rolls. Okay.
Jelly rolls.
Fun.
Yeah.
Super. All right, Mary, and then Michelle, you'll be next.
I'm going to use this colorway, which I think is called Afternoon in the Garden. I just had a look at it.
Oh, yeah.
And I did these shorty socks last year and I really like them. I like the way they fit. I like the way they wear. They took a little while to knit, so I'm a little hesitant that I might not get them done in the next week. But even if I don't, I'll have a nice pair of socks that I really like. And I like the rolled cuff.
What's the
And
pattern?
it's the pattern is it's the Crazy Sock Lady, and it has something to do with rainbow. I can't remember the exact name, but I'll put it on Ravelry.
Okay, those look cute. I like the looks of them, Mary. You bet.
Yeah.
Okay, Michelle, and then Leslie, and then Valerie.
Well, I'm using this,
Uh-huh.
and it's what I had left over from the beginning sock class. So this is like my second sock, so I'll probably find a very easy sock to do since it is my second one and I'm not that experienced. So, but this is what I have.
Great, looks great. Glad you're here. Fabulous. Leslie? Oh, can't hear you. Get you off mute. Nope, we gotta get you off mute, honey. There we go.
I'm mute. Okay, there. I'm just watching along and getting
Great.
some ideas. I have not decided on any yarn or anything yet. Okay, so
Okay.
I'm looking more towards doing the July beginner class, even though I've been a long time knitter and have done sweaters and caps and hats. I'm a little leery of doing the magic loop and 2-in-1, so I need a little bit
That's all right.
more,
That's all
a
right.
little bit more. And oh, by the way, I am a lefty also. So
Great.
everything I look at has to be like reversed in my mind. Okay.
We know that because Kay's a lefty too. So,
Okay.
and you were in today. So good to have you. with
Yes.
us. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
All right, Valerie and then Nancy and Kay.
Sure. I am doing some leftover yarn that I had from another pair of socks. This is the March 2020 Knit Lincoln Pinnacle Bank. So I've got them. And I've got this today. It's Summerly Designs. It's the shorty sock pattern set. And there's 3 different patterns in there. And I'm going to do the basics.
Okay.
Find it.
All right. So
I'm gonna do the basic sock because this is the first time I've done shorts and first time I've done 2 needles.
okay. Hey, we're always all about go big or go home. You know, we're going in. We're going in for it. This is camp. You know, you can do anything for a week. Right? All right. Nancy, how about you?
Me and
Yeah. Mhm.
I like this color Lagoon.
Uh-huh.
One of the right.
Okay.
I am just absorbing and seeing how much of second knitting will come back to me.
Okay.
And so the patterns I love. I don't have a pattern. My first challenge is finding an ink cartridge for my old printer because those are rare. So I gotta find a cartridge so I can print a pattern. But
All right. All right.
have-
Great. Glad to have you here. Kay
Thank
and
you.
then Elizabeth and then Diane Ross. Kay?
Okay, I'm doing the June colorway and I'm doing the jelly roll sock. So I'm doing the 2 jelly roll pieces in the colors, solids. And then the body of the sock will be in the variegated with heel and toe. I haven't decided yet which of the colors will be.
Neat. We're going to have so many good looking socks in a week. Fabulous. All right, Elizabeth.
Too many buttons. So here's my sock yarn and it's something about afternoon in the garden.
Okay, that was Mary's too, wasn't it? Or
Um,
somebody doing that.
I was going to do the jelly roll socks, but I'm getting a lot of other pattern ideas, so don't hold me to that one.
Oh, okay, that's fine. That's fine. We won't. You know, you got another couple weeks. We're going to be able to knit these socks. Good deal. Okay, Diane and then Connie and then Becky.
I'm gonna do, this is my yarn. It's the International Quilt.
Yes.
And I am looking at the little box socks by Summer Lee. And I may this first time just do like the heel and toe and the cuff out of this and just then the body of the sock and then see how it goes before I go into the little pattern that they show. And this is the pattern right here. Can you see it?
So cute.
Yep, they are cute.
Fabulous. I think you all have the same idea. I want those to wear on the 4th of July. So, and actually next Monday's Flag Day. So, you know, we have them done, you know, you get them done early in the morning. You could wear them for Flag Day. No doubt. All right, good. Connie?
I'm knitting a pair of socks for my grandson's birthday, so I intend to start knitting next week.
Okay, fabulous. Fabulous, fabulous. Good. Becky and then Sarah.
I have leftover falcon's nest,
Uh-huh.
and I think I have some contrasting colors that I could use for the cuff and the heel and toe. This is 59 grams. Is that enough if I don't use contrast
I think so.
for shorties?
I'd
'Cause
have to- I think so. I'd have to weigh,
Okay.
I'd have to weigh a shorty, Becky, to kind of see.
I'll
Anybody?
have to look. And yeah, I think I'll just do a simple pattern because of my schedule. I don't know
Yeah,
how
sure.
much I can get done. And self-striping is also an option for shorties. That's not too bold, or that can be done as well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.
You bet. You bet. Absolutely. Okay. All right, Sarah and then Sandra and then Steph.
Which Sarah?
Sarah B. Sarah B. Okay.
I was trying to find the mute.
That's right.
Excuse me. I'm going to use the UCAN Toucan color
Woohoo!
for my mane, and then the toes, cuffs, and heels with the iris that smells like grapes.
Beautiful.
So put those two together, and I think I'm going to try the Early Spring Shorty Socks by Angie Kimmel.
Now hold it still. There you go. That's a nice one. Early spring summer socks.
Yes, so I'll put that in Ravelry.
Okay, very good. Great. Sandra.
Okay, I'm gonna use my Happy Little Rainbows.
Ah,
And
beautiful.
wanted to find something enough pattern to keep me going, but simple enough not to slow me down. So I looked in my book of 400 knitting stitches. And I'm gonna do just a simple eyelet pattern for the top of the sock. And I was thinking one of those across just the front, a few rows under the rib.
Great, great. Way to be creative. And that's what's fun. You learn the basic formula for a sock. You can have fun and do all kinds of things with it. Fabulous. Okay. Stephanie and then Sue Brinkman and then Sarah Gilbert.
I'm using this self-striping one,
Uh-huh.
and I'm just doing plain ones. So I'm just don't have a pattern,
all
but
right.
I want to see how long they take, and then if I can get them done, then I might be more adventurous next time.
Absolutely. You know, I think there is a timer you can set on your phone if you really want to know how many hours you spend on knitting. We don't really want to know those things, do we? We just knit because we knit. Okay, sounds good. All right, Susan.
Hi, I'm using the leftover from the winter knit along, the shawl.
Mhm.
I haven't really decided on a sock pattern yet. I'm kind of leaning towards one that has the color in the heel and some beads around the top of it.
Great. Great, great, great. Well, the whistle's going to blow soon. So, you know, you can all start. So, I mean, wow. Way to go. Okay, Sarah and then Ann Ball.
Well, I'm going to do the Carnegie Library colorway, and I'm waiting for Brights. I ordered today. Brights, and I probably just do a vanilla sock, and not until probably the last session.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. That's great, Sarah. Very good. All right, Ann Ball.
Okay, I'm doing this. It was July's Oak Lake fireworks. I haven't decided on a pattern. I'll probably decide here in about 2 minutes, but I'm going to try. I always do 2 at a time, but I'm going to do 2 circulars instead of 1.
Sure.
I don't know. We're leaving for vacation Wednesday morning, so I usually sleep in the car. Hopefully, I'll be able to knit in the car and not sleep. But we'll see on Monday how that works out.
All right, Anna. It's so exciting. You guys are all doing this with vacation and everything going on. All right, Luann and Becky and then Linda T. So many. This is so exciting. Luann.
Okay, I don't have a yarn picked out yet. I'm trying to finish a mate to a different pair of socks. So I thought I'd probably go in one of the next week or the week after. So I'm just getting pattern ideas, got a couple things in mind, so.
All right, sounds great, Luann.
All right.
Becky, how about you?
I am here for
tips and tricks. I have learned socks this year, but you are getting me all excited to maybe try in a couple of weeks.
Okay. Yeah. See, you can kind of ramp up and then join the last Monday. I think it's just fabulous. It's flexible, flexible
you're
and
getting me excited.
Okay, super. All right, Linda, and then Sandy, and then Janet.
I am going to do the Carnegie Library with some blue and orange for heels and toes. And I'm probably just gonna go vanilla.
Yep. Okay, sounds good. It's so fun to hear all these names that, you know, I mean, we know our yarn has names. So like when I was in 4-H, we would name our cows. So, you know, all of the cows would be named. So all of your socks are named. How fun is that? All right, Sandy, how about you?
I'm going to be using something I bought. Yeah, I bought from you during COVID. I really like this yarn. And I have a contrast color. It's pretty similar, but I'm going to try it anyway because I like the yarn.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to make the ruffle cuff shorty socks.
Yep, those are.
And I'm going to do 2 at a time.
Okay, very good. Sounds good. Okay, Janet, and then Deanna, and then Wendy and Jackie.
I'm kind of the oddball here. I have my pattern picked out. It is called the Sparkling Bubble Socks by Ravelry. And it kind of has sort of that pattern that one of the other gals did. It looks like it's kind of like open little bubbles around the top and the toe of the sock. And I'm going to start June 14th. I have to come in and get my yarn.
All right, sounds
I
good.
found my pattern first and I have to come in and get some. This is a little different. It calls for fingering yarn.
Well, that's what sock yarn is. So
or fingering, yeah. So
yep.
I don't know.
Sounds
It's not,
good.
my pattern's not going to show up very well because it's in black and white, but it's called Sparkling Bubble Socks and it's off of by Chia US from Ravelry.
All right, thanks, Janet. Sounds
Yeah.
good. All right, Deanna.
I'm using this, which is, I mean, I made big socks, so this is what's left over. But
Okay.
and I'm in the middle of wedding week, so I'm doing vanilla and hoping, since you all said I can't knit during the wedding, I better not have a pattern. I better.
No, I think we said that if you had a bag, you could knit inside your bag at the wedding.
Well, at the rehearsal, I think we said maybe at the rehearsal, but not
Okay.
quite sure about the wedding. And so I'm just gonna do vanilla this week and hope that I can do.
You can get the evil eye from your son. Mom, I'm sure you're knitting at my wedding. Well, we'll be cheering you on. You can do it. Wendy, do you want to share, or Jackie?
Yes, I'm just watching.
Okay.
And
good.
I have too many other projects going. I have to say no this time. But
No
I'm
problem.
getting tips and tricks and writing
problem.
notes. So
No problem. Okay, Jackie? Are you listening?
I'm just gonna watch and pick on some tricks and tips.
All right, that sounds good. We're glad you're all here. And we're going to show you what the prizes are for weeks 1, 2, and 3, so that you can earn them. So let me pull up, let me get that. Any questions? Any questions before Kay blows the whistle? You have to just, I got this off. Okay, hang on. Mary says her shorties are 26 grams each. Thank you for checking that, Mary. 26 grams each. So Becky, you were asking that question.
Yeah, that'll work perfect. Then I'll have enough.
Then you should have enough. I
Mhm,
think so.
thanks.
Yeah.
Thank
And that's
you.
what's so lovely about Jessica's yarn, is that there is a lovely, nice amount. Okay, we're going to go to screen share, and we're going to show you what kinds of prizes you can earn at camp. It's kind of like crafting. So our crafting is, whoop, let me go to the wrong thing. I gotta do my desktop. You know, that was my favorite part of camp, was the craft part. Made those little leather things. And so you're gonna get some little trinkets to take home from camp. Can you see my screen now? Can you see the ruler? Okay, so for week 1, this is, it doesn't show up the best, but this is an acrylic ruler. And we had these a couple years ago from during the holidays. And sorry, it's going all over the place. It's a little 1 to 6 inch ruler, and it's got our little sock camp logo that Katrinkles did. So if you complete your socks this week, you'll get our sock camp ruler. So if you complete your socks in week 2, you'll get our sock camp stitch marker along with the knit paper scissors bag. So that's a way for you to get the bag. Some of you have it. I think a lot of you actually have it. But if you don't, that's a way for you to get the knit paper scissors. So week 2 is you get the stitch marker that says Sock Camp 2021. And these are for completed socks, folks. And then if you do all 3, drum roll. Oh, I love it. It's a 1 inch gauge. It's a little fob. And it's a little, and you can hook it on your bag. You can hook it on your zipper of your project bag, and you can measure your gauge. So you can put it on and see that you're getting 8 stitches to an inch. In addition, there'll be a colorway that you'll be able to purchase at the very end of the month from Jessica. You don't have to complete anything to purchase it. So just because you're here, you'll have the opportunity to be able to purchase it. And then we also talked about on Saturday, she will have a special release of yarn, and we are working to be able to get that online as well, so that it won't just be in-house, it will be online as well. Now that doesn't mean that even if they're online that they won't go fast, because we sold the stripes out in 1 hour and 15 minutes. So you know how it works. You know that you have to get after it, but they are going to be gorgeous. And she's also dyeing up some more stripes since they went so quickly. And like everything else, post-COVID, our sock yarn with Jessica is now $32 a skein. So you'll see that in your pricing and online. And, you know, really it's quite the value, given that you get 480 yards and a beautifully handmade. Those of you that did the dye workshop can attest to the amount of time that she puts into all of that work. They're smiling and nodding their heads. Any last questions? All right, next week, Kay's gonna blow our whistle here and we're gonna be ready, set, go. Next week, Kay's gonna be teaching about 9-inch circulars and tips and how she does that. And we'll hear from you about how you manage the heel, how it went. Most importantly, go to Ravelry, type your pattern down that you're using. Also post your progress on Ravelry, and we will have a drawing next Monday as well. Everybody that posts gets in the drawing. So we'll be giving away some baby bees, probably a big sock ruler, just a variety of things. So, all right, Kay, are we ready?
Angie, I have a quick question.
Okay, question? Yes.
So you said go to Ravelry? When you mean go to Ravelry, what do you mean? I mean, I'm kind of lost in that.
You have to go, yes, good question. You have to go to our Knit Paper Scissors page.
Okay.
And then there's a discussion board. That's a good question. There's a discussion board and you can see the threads. So like we have the summer cow thread going there and the sock thread going there. So you go to Ravelry and go to groups across the top, and then you can type in knit, paper, scissors.
Okay.
And you can join our group, and then that way you can post and make comments and share your patterns. That's what's great about our community. Any other questions?
No.
Any other questions? All right, Kay.
Okay, I decided my whistle is very shrill, and I thought it may be a little hard on you guys. So I've got out my Swiss cowbell. So ready, start, go.
Yay! Let the fun begin. All right, everyone. Thanks for being part of us and being part of what we do. We love having you all here. So have a great week. We'll see you next Monday. Bye-bye.